In a bold legal maneuver that underscores the high-stakes chess game of celebrity justice, Sean "Diddy" Combs' defense team has mounted a passionate plea for his swift liberation from the grim confines of Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, arguing that the rap mogul's year-plus incarceration, coupled with the acquittal on his most grievous charges, constitutes punishment enough to warrant a sentence capping at just 14 months, a fraction of the probation office's stark recommendation, exceeding 7 years. This memorandum, a meticulously crafted document brimming with emotional appeals and evidentiary heft, arrives on the eve of Combs' October 3 sentencing, transforming what could be a rote proceeding into a referendum on redemption, reputation, and the punitive excesses of the American carceral system when applied to the elite. At its core, the filing paints a portrait of a man utterly transformed by adversity. In the past 2 years, Mr. Combs's career and reputation have been destroyed, it declares with unflinching candor, cataloging the seismic fallout from raids on his opulent Los Angeles and Miami estates, the unsealing of lurid indictments, and a media maelstrom that eclipsed even his glory days as Bad Boy Records' visionary architect. Once the undisputed king of hip-hop's commercial empire, launching Notorious B.I.G. Mary J. Blige, and usher into stratospheres while amassing a fortune through Sean John Fashion and Revolt TV, Combs now confronts a legacy in tatters, his Grammy-laden discography overshadowed by allegations that once promised to define him. The lawyers pivot masterfully to his pretrial odyssey in MDC, dubbed one of America's most notorious jails, where basic dignities like clean water and nutritious meals were luxuries, and constant suicide watch loomed as a spectral guardian against despair. These conditions, the document contends, elevate Combs' detention to a level of severity far beyond the norm for Mann Act violations. Federal statutes on interstate prostitution that snared him on 2 counts, each punishable by up to a decade behind bars. Considering these conditions, Mr. Combs's time served has already been substantially more punitive than the average time served by other defendants convicted under the Mann Act. The attorneys assert, weaving in data on comparable cases to bolster their call for leniency. July 2's verdict, guilty on the prostitution charges but exonerated from racketeering and sex trafficking conspiracies, emerges as a fulcrum, the acquittal's a lifeline that the defense leverages to humanize their client, portraying him not as a predatory overlord but a flawed figure ensnared in a web of consensual complexities gone awry. Central to this narrative is Combs' personal metamorphosis, with counsel highlighting a markedly improved demeanor during mandatory treatment programs at MDC, where therapy sessions and self-reflection have chipped away at the armor of invincibility he once wore. This isn't mere legalese, it's a redemption arc sketched in stark relief, from the party's eternal host, famed for white-clad soirees at his Miami mansions, to a contemplative inmate journaling his regrets under fluorescent lights. The memo's emotional apex arrives in its annex. Over 75 letters from a constellation of loved ones, each a heartfelt vignette in Combs' defense. His mother, Janice Combs, pens a mother's unyielding faith, recounting Sean's boyhood dreams in Harlem's Mount Vernon projects, where he hustled mixtapes before building empires. His 6 eldest children, from son Justin with ex-Misa Hilton to twins Delilah and Jesse with Cassie Ventura, pour out pleas for a father's return, their words evoking family barbecues shattered by headlines and bedtime stories interrupted by court dates. Even exes step forward in solidarity. Kershaw Young Miami Brownlee, the City Girls rapper whose flirtatious City Girls energy once lit up Combs' Instagram, attests to his generosity and growth, while Virginia Gina Huynh, whose past accusations of physical abuse during their liaison add layers of irony, submits a character reference lauding his post-incarceration evolution. These epistles aren't curated PR. They're raw, unfiltered testaments to a man whose inner circle spans decades, from Ventura's harrowing trial testimony of rape and repeated abuse to these voices insisting on nuance amid the noise. Ventura's account, delivered with poised devastation, painted Combs as a controller wielding power imbalances like weapons, yet the letters counter with glimpses of vulnerability, charity galas funding black education, mentorships nurturing young artists, urging the judge to weigh the whole man, not the worst moment. Combs' push for near-immediate release isn't hubris. It's a calculated bid to reclaim agency in a saga that began with 2016 hotel surveillance footage of Ventura's assault, resurfaced in 2024 amid a cascade of civil suits alleging everything from coerced freak-offs to drug-laced blackmail. He denies all, vowing in pretrial statements to tell my story, but the memo shifts focus to forward momentum. Home confinement with family, continued therapy, and philanthropy as penance. At 55, the 3-time Grammy winner, whose No Way Out defined East Coast rap's glossy zenith, faces not just bars but obsolescence, his revolt stake diminished, Sean John faltering. The probation recommendation 7+ years looms as a death knell to reinvention, prompting the defense to invoke sentencing guidelines emphasis on just punishment, tailored to individual circumstance. As October 3 dawns, this filing resonates beyond one courtroom, interrogating how fame amplifies, or mitigates, justice's scales. Combs' acquittals on trafficking spared him life, but the prostitution convictions etch permanence, fueling dozens of pending lawsuits from accusers male and female, each seeking reckoning for alleged violations spanning decades. His team's optimism hinges on Judge Arun Subramanian's discretion, bolstered by precedents where celebrity remorse and collateral suffering swayed outcomes. In MDC's bowels, Combs awaits, penning what may be his next chapter, not a comeback album, but a quiet return to the family he vows to rebuild. This plea isn't absolution, it's a bridge from infamy to introspection, challenging us to ask, when does punishment yield to possibility? For Diddy, the answer hangs on a gavel's fall, his empire's ruins the canvas for whatever rises next.